Hey, friends! I thought we'd take a look at another animated film. This time it's The Flight of Dragons from 1982. Now, this is one of several discs that one of my viewers, Laura, was kind enough to send me off of my wish list. She sent me this here Blu-ray. Thanks, Laura. I've never seen this picture before, and I was curious about it. So, let's take a gander, shall we? Our story goes like this. There is a time in the distant past when magic ruled the world, but lo and behold, magic is fading away. It has something to do with the advent of technology and mankind using science and engineering to do stuff instead of magic. This here green wizard who needs a manicure is worried about the situation, and he gathers his 3 fellow wizard brothers to have a confab. One brother is from Asia, apparently, another is from what looks like Northern Africa, and then there's the bad wizard, our villain. He was invited because he's a fellow magic user. The green wizard has a plan, he says, to create a sort of bomb shelter, a safe space for magic users to retreat to where they will exist forever. But the bad wizard doesn't care for that. Instead, he plans to help mankind destroy itself, and then he'll take over. That won't help with magic fading away from the world, but he's evil, so there you go. Now, the good wizards have to stop the bad wizard. That's what they get for inviting him in the first place. Anyway, the green wizard needs to find a hero to steal the bad wizard's hat. That'll neutralize his powers, I guess. To find the hero, the green wizard looks into the future and grabs this guy. He was a scientist, but he gave it up so he could write fantasy books and create Dungeons and Dragons type of board games. Turns out he was tapping into this long-past magic era, and that's where all his ideas came from. So he seems like the perfect hero to fight the bad guy. As the title would suggest, there are dragons in this world. They talk and everything. Pretty much some are bad, like Smaug from The Hobbit, while others are more like Pete's dragon. At one point, our hero gets transmogrified into a dragon himself, and has to learn how to dragon, if you see what I mean. A crisis occurs when most of these dragons decide to join Team Bad Guy. So anyway, our hero goes on this quest to the bad wizard's realm, so he can steal the hat. Along with him is an older dragon, and this King Arthur type of knight. He meets up with some wood elves and this sexy redhead playing Robin Hood. She could turn me into a merry man, I'll tell you. But our hero only has eyes for this blonde princess who hangs out with the green wizard, and who can blame him? They also meet a dog! Awesome! And the dog joins Team Good Guy. Can our hero steal the bad wizard's hat and save the day? Will he win the princess? And what the hell's up with this guy? The Flight of Dragons is based on a book by Peter Dickinson and another fantasy book, The Dragon and the George by Gordon Dixon. In our cast, we have an impressive roster. Colonel Potter is here. Harry Morgan as Carolinus, the green wizard who needs the manicure. And Jack Tripper from Three's Company. John Ritter voices the hero. Victor Buono, King Tut on the Batman TV show in what turned out to be his last film role. Longtime character actor James Gregory also voices a dragon, and Darth Vader plays the bad guy. James Earl Jones is here. Voice actor Don Messick plays a wood elf that joins Team Good Guy. Larry Storch from Real Ghostbusters and F Troop plays a pawnbroker, and Paul Frees provides the voice for both the Blue Wizard and a magic force called Antiquity. Bob McFadden voices the Knight, and I could have sworn it was Patrick Troughton because the character looks like him and kind of sounds like him, but no, it was McFadden. Singer Dong McLean warbles the title song. Now, color me surprised, because I didn't realize, or I had forgotten that this movie was made by none other than Rankin Bass, or Rankin Bass, if you prefer. I always called them Rankin Bass, but I digress. Now, while they weren't running around making animagic stop-motion specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or The Year Without a Santa Claus, they made cartoons. The most famous being probably Frosty the Snowman. I did a whole video about Frosty you can find elsewhere on the channel. Is Frosty the Snowman a golem? So, because this was produced by Rankin Bass, we have all of the usual Rankin Bass suspects on hand. Maury Laws did the music, Romeo Mueller worked on the script, and Katsuhisa Yamada worked on the animation since it was farmed out to Japan. He was a regular on Rankin Bass Animated Productions. Another regular, Toru Hara, was the animation coordinator. He went on to work at Studio Ghibli on such classics as Nausicaa, Kiki's Delivery Service, My Neighbor Totoro, Castle in the Sky, and he also worked on Grave of the Fireflies. Man! The Flight of Dragons was released in two formats. There was a home video version and, in 1986, a television version, a TV movie which aired on ABC. Apparently, rumor has it, there was a theatrical version that came out in the UK that year too. This here Blu-ray has both the standard TV version and the widescreen version. Even so, the theatrical cut still has dramatic build-ups to where an ad break would go. So how about it? Is this thing any good? Well, it's not bad. It does suffer from being a bit long, and it could have used a tighter edit. It's quite serviceable, and there are some really good things in it. It never reaches the heights of the animated Lord of the Rings, but it does have merit. They go into detail about the dragons and how they can fly, and all that was pretty interesting. The bad guy is really good, and the battle scenes look okay. And while the animation is a bit plain, some of it is impressive. It's kind of aimed at older kids, I think, and there are some grimdark elements little kids might not like. Some characters are not given nearly enough to do. The princess, the red-headed archer, the wood elf, they're just sort of there. And the quest falls a little flat. Frankly, it needed some better pacing, and the defeat of the bad guy was a bit of a letdown. You'd think it would be more epic. Instead, it's a little dopey. Imaginative, though. But all in all, the Flight of Dragons is pretty interesting. They were trying something new, and it tied in nicely with the popularity of The Lord of the Rings and D&D and all of that fantasy stuff, which was happening at the time. So I'd say if you like that and you want to see something different in that genre, well, it's worth a watch. I'd suggest you grab the Blu-ray from Warner Archive. It's worth it. So I'm giving The Flight of Dragons 2 paws up. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.